Hello, and welcome to the DCIFF Film Chat Podcast. I'm Erin Devost, and I'll be your host for this season. Join us for insightful interviews that explore the work of up-and-coming independent filmmakers from all over the world. If you're passionate about film and keen to learning about the creative process from the future cinema greats, this podcast is a must-listen for you. Our mission is to provide listeners with the engaging and informative conversations about successful and innovative films, including features, shorts, documentaries, animation, and web series from across the globe. The DCIFF Film Chat Podcast is a unique opportunity for independent filmmakers to have their voices heard in a way no other film festival can provide. You can listen to the DCIFF Film Chat Podcast on all podcast platforms or visit our website at DCIFF-indie.org/DCIFF-podcast. Thank you. Have Ryan Kennedy as our guest. He is the director of the film Clone. So telling us about Clone itself. So it's more of a suspenseful short film. Do you mind describing the plot a little bit?
Sure. It takes place in the future. And kind of the concept of the film is that in the future, every U.S. citizen is given the right to own one clone of themselves. The clones have no rights. They are the property of their original human. And the only way that a clone can become a citizen is if the original human willingly emancipates them. So, yeah, obviously it brings up a lot of moral questions, a lot of kind of, I guess, political questions. I don't know if this would, I think the first thing that people kind of ask is, could this happen in reality? And I think in our current world, probably not. But I like kind of creating these alternate realities because sometimes real life becomes stranger than fiction. And we may think that at this time and place that this would never happen. But if certain circumstances started happening and maybe other countries felt threatened through population decline or whatever, would they resist the urge to be able to go in this direction? And then would we feel the pressure to compete? So a lot of hypotheticals there, but that's kind of where the idea stemmed from in my mind.
Definitely. Yeah, no, it's such an interesting concept, especially in today's world. When you describe the pie, it kind of also remind me like a little bit like Westworld, having a copy of yourself. Like is clone, is it more like a human clone or an AI?
So that's the thing. Whenever we talk about sci-fi, a good number of films that are made and stories that are told about sci-fi focus on artificial intelligence. For me, it was really important to tell a human story. I've definitely been in situations before where I've watched movies and felt a lot of empathy towards robots or any form of artificial intelligence, but we're not positive whether they do have consciousness or whether they're fooling us into thinking that they do. Right. There's no question whether a human being is a conscious being or not. So by kind of removing the AI aspect of it, it allowed us to really focus on making this a human story. There's no debate whatsoever that the clones in the film are people. They're human beings. They have feelings. They have emotions. They have desires. They feel pain just like we do. They feel joy. They're humans. So by doing that, I think it kind of allows people to kind of see the direction we're going with technology and such, and view it through the prism of, wow, these people are exactly like me. They just don't necessarily have the same rights as me. Versus, as I said, a robot. It's like, well, it's a piece of metal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, that was important to me, was to tell a film, because people would read the script and they would instantly want to talk to me about AI.
Right.
And it was kind of like, well, I get why you're going there, because as far as the genre goes, we're in that kind of realm, if you will. But I don't see like this is a human story, you know? So yeah, I don't think a lot of people are doing that, because everybody gets really caught up in the technological advancements in robotics, and that's kind of where our brain goes when we think about the future, if you will, you know?
Definitely. Yeah. And I think like you're going, in a way, like you're starting a trend of your own by capturing more of that humanistic, approach. Because as you mentioned, like, or even as I asked, like about like the AI perspective, because just because like it's up and coming, like in terms of like, what's up right now doesn't necessarily mean like we want to translate our story into that type of concept as well. So I thought that was like really well said in terms of, knowing that difference and also how being open-minded into a type of film like that.
Sure.
Well.
And you bring up like Westworld as a good example. But still, there is this question of like, even though they appear to be conscious beings with wants and desires, we're completely bought in to the concept that they are. But still, when you peel back the skin, they are different than us.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, you're going to get feelings of empathy, but you're still going to get those people that say, yeah, but again, are they conscious beings, or are they computers that are fooling us into thinking that they're conscious beings, which softens us up to them? When you make a film about human beings, you can't say that. So, yeah.
Right. No, makes sense. I mean, would you want a clone of yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that. I would say no. After exploring this whole thing, I think we should probably stay away from that, simply because it does bring in moral and ethical questions of, okay, so they're humans, but who does this human belong to? Does this human have the same rights? I mean, it's pretty obvious, but there's like so many parallels here to U.S. citizens having rights, and certain, immigrants, whether they be legal or illegal, having lesser rights. It's a lot of parallels that can be drawn there, where we're exactly the same biologically, but we're not necessarily treated the same by society, by the government, So yeah, I would say, if I was in charge of the cloning department, I would make sure that these people have the same, exact rights as any other human being or whatnot. But I don't know that I trust society to make that same decision. So I would say we should probably stay away from human cloning for as long as we possibly can.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, like, rethinking my own question, I would find it terrifying, because I would imagine, like, is a clone like a replica of yourself? They could also have a mind of its own. So it's like, how does like that consciousness like develop
And also, if it's in the context of my film, there's Alex, who's the original human, and there's his clone, Richie. I kind of think to myself, another parallel that I kind of draw is like, the more and more technologically advanced we become, the lazier and lazier we become, right? So like, if there was a robot that could clean my house for me, I'm certainly not going to scrub my toilet anymore. But because there isn't one, I have to do it, right? If my wife is listening to this, she's going to say that I never scrub the toilet. It's always her. But no, I'm just saying that like, every year that goes by and technology becomes more and more advanced, we kind of become lazier and lazier and lazier. So if we had a human being that was our clone and they were our property, what would we make them do that virtually everything that we don't want to do? Yeah. And that's kind of the dynamic that's created between the main character in this film and his friends who come over for a dinner party. They're all just these lazy humans, lazy, entitled humans that don't have to do anything for them because they have clone who does it. So again, I don't trust that people would do the right thing in those situations. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully this is never, hopefully this remains fiction.
Yes. Like, fingers crossed on that. Seeing like the industry itself through being like suspense, but also, seeing like kind of like what's up and coming here. Can you see like a continuation of your film, like becoming like into a bigger feature or even a series?
So I honestly didn't write it for it to have life beyond this. But it's a conversation that I am having constantly. I kind of intentionally left the ending of the film a bit open-ended. So it does kind of create the potential for life beyond. I think the issue is just I don't necessarily know what direction I would go in. I have ideas as to, follow how I would continue the storyline.
Yeah.
But I certainly didn't create it with that in mind. So I don't know. I would say that my favorite thing about being a director is that I can like become obsessed with all of these different things, and I can like spend a year of my life researching it and writing it and just totally diving into that world, trying to become as much of a pseudo expert as I can to have enough to be able to tell a story about this subject matter. But then when you're done, me personally, I kind of want to get out and I kind of want to do something else. If the right opportunity presented itself, I would certainly be open to expanding Clone. But I don't know if that's like my goal at this point,
Definitely.
But I would definitely keep an open mind.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm always curious. And then also, I guess relating on that note, going behind the scenes like of your film too, like was there anything? I always find it so cool when you could see like replicas of people within the film. How did you formulate that, and also like for the editing style?
So I was able to cast identical twins. Sasha and Sable Boykin play clone and an original human, and they were just absolutely perfect for this because, like, I don't know, they just played their roles so well. Like, one of them was the clone who was very kind of like soft spoken and kept to herself. And the other one was playing the original human who comes over for the dinner party, and she's like, super type A, like they're dressed. I've actually had people that weren't able to tell that they were identical twins, not because they don't look alike, but because we styled them so differently, because the, original human would never want to be upstaged by her clone. Right. And it was so detailed that the clone is wearing nice, expensive clothing because that's a reflection of the person who bought it for her, her original human, but it's very understated. You know what I mean? So yeah, I casted identical twins. So a party guest does bring her clone with her. And then our lead actor, Alex Bro, and this was the biggest challenge for me from a technical level, is I had never done, so my cinematographer, Nico, was telling me the whole, like, Parent Trap idea. There's only one Lindsay Lohan, right? But she's playing both roles. And I'm like, well, how would you possibly do that? And I was thinking that it would be so much more complicated than it was. But our lead actor, Alex Bro, was able to play two roles in the film. He's not a twin. There's only one of him, And we did a similar thing, and where they're styled differently, their hair's quite different and stuff like that. So you can certainly tell who's who. But yeah, from a logistical standpoint, I wrote the film in a way in which I did feel like it was possible for him to play both, versus the girls could never have, they never, it had to be twins for that. So yeah, he played both roles, and like I remember his last day of filming, we were like so tired and beat down, but like that was the day where he had to play two roles, and he literally sat on one side of the camera and delivered all of this dialogue, and then changed clothes and went and sat in the other chair and delivered all of this dialogue. And it was just, it was crazy to like watch him do that, because we didn't really do rehearsals or anything. So I didn't know what I was going to get. I knew what he was capable of. He's been in some very, very, very big stuff. So I knew that he could do it, but I didn't know what we were going to get. And I just remember all of us like behind the camera, like, my God, like this guy is just like blowing us away. That showing up on set and playing one role is tough enough and doing it well, but then playing both and being so believable. Yeah, he did it, and then it cuts together pretty well. So I think we pulled it off. But yeah, that's kind of how we did it.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I always love to hear like behind the scenes, like the edits and effects that go into it. And now it makes me wonder, and maybe I don't know if you ask the twins this, like how they feel about like the clone situation, especially with like the identical.
Well, that would be they would be interesting people to ask. Yeah, we did. Luckily the two of them, I did have some very detailed sit downs, because their role was so crucial to the production of our film. I knew that like I had to find the right set of twins.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking to cast twins, there's actually quite a lot of them that are actors who look alike. But it's very, very hard to find two individuals who look almost identical, but also are incredibly talented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was important to me. It wasn't just about like, oh, the believability of this film is riding on having a set of identical twins, because people will believe that they're, there's a clone and there's an original human. And
Mm-hmm.
it was more so about like there was performance that was required from them as well. When I came across them, it was really important to make sure that we were on the same page with like a kind of shared vision for this. And they completely bought into it.
Mm-hmm.
They were so prepared. They were so professional. And it was really great to work with them. But yeah, I would really like, I'm sure we did talk about their thoughts on the cloning aspect, and they would have a very unique perspective, having grown up as identical twins who are very close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And have virtually been near each other their entire lives. But yeah, I don't really recall what they told me, but I know that we had some really, really interesting conversations in the prep for this.
Nice. Yeah. No, very cool. Where did you get inspiration for this film?
So a good friend of mine is a journalist and author. We grew up together. His name is Levi Vonk. He wrote a book. He went to southern Mexico, and parallels between the story that I had in my head and the migrant crisis, if you will, at the border.
Mm-hmm.
And by crisis, I more so mean for them. These are people who are just trying to survive, and they're kind of demonized by, certain people in politics or in the media or whatever as being these people who are coming here to commit crimes. And, these people are really coming here because they're out of options, and they're trying to support their family in the same way that we would. So I was just seeing a lot of parallels to like, there are people that really don't seem to care about this migrant crisis, but maybe if I'm able to tell a story that's kind of entertaining, we can
Mm-hmm.
maybe try and draw some parallels to this and entertain people, but also get them kind of asking questions in their head about, well, why aren't these people being treated the same way as other human beings or whatever? So that was kind of where the initial idea came from, but I didn't really have a narrative built.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching a lot of like Black Mirror episodes, which were just these totally like weird, random. And I was so Clone kind of like started as like, I had something that I wanted to say or talk about, but also I was like, well, Netflix isn't beating my door down to direct a Black Mirror episode, so I'm just going to do it myself. You know what I mean? I'm just going to make like a 20-minute episode. So that's kind of what it is. And I actually feel like it, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you could just tuck it into one of those, have an episode and nobody would know that it wasn't a Black Mirror episode.
Right.
But yeah, that was kind of where the inspiration came. It's because I love those short format stories that are 20, 30, 40 minutes that take you on a whole journey, but in a short kind of condensed amount of time. And I think that people think that making short films are easier than making features. And coming from my history, I started off making features, and they were just these huge financial commitments, time commitments. If it takes you a couple months to edit a short film, how long do you think it takes to edit a feature?
Mm-hmm.
So I love dabbling in short films because it allows me to kind of, as I said, dabble in different genres that I don't know if I'm willing to make that commitment for a feature.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just think that these kind of short format stories are much more digestible than expecting somebody to watch a 2-hour movie who knows nothing about you or your project. But, people will give you 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
People will give you 20 minutes. So.
Oh, true. Yeah, no, with the short form content, and especially, thinking like social media, like how, everyone's attention span seems to be getting more and more narrowed down, but it gives the opportunity to expand on like whether it's like, a specific topic you want to talk about or film. So I find that very interesting, and seeing like how that's coming out more.
It was also important for me to try to make something, and I don't know if I've succeeded or not. I guess I'm not the person to be able to accurately answer this, but it was important for me to make a piece that had people asking questions and kind of wanting more at the end versus, all right, we get it, and that was kind of my experience in feature filmmaking was, being young and inexperienced, I did it. I ran the race and I finished. But still, there's a sense of like figuring out how to capture people's attention and keep it. I like doing things that make people, credits roll and they're thinking, well, what's going to happen with this guy, or where's he going to go, or what's he going to do, or get people thinking about, the messaging of the film and whatever. I would much rather leave people asking questions than for them to be looking at their watch 60% through the film and saying, how much longer is this?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, definitely. And well, we're very excited to watch your film tonight. For those who are listening, Clone is part of the Chills and Thrills segment for the DCIFF 2023. And so we'll be looking forward to seeing Clone, and we would love to also follow along in your journey. Is there like a website or social media where we can follow you?
I'm on Twitter and Facebook, Ryan M. Kennedy. Anyways, but I guess the only thing that I would talk about is that my producing partner and I are in pre-production right now to make another film, and it's about a guy who lives in a world where everybody talks like, dresses like, behaves like a professional wrestler, except for him. So in this alternative universe, everybody is like a WWE personality, and that's normal, right? And but he's not. So we're kind of excited to make this because it's so ridiculous that like just the concept alone is like we're literally going to have like amateur wrestlers on set playing different parts, big muscle guys dressed in spandex with elbow pads and long hair and stuff. So yeah, we're really excited about it because logistically it's going to be quite a tough project to pull off. But I think we're in a situation now where we feel confident enough as a team that we can do it. And yeah, I would love to be here 1 year from now talking at this table with you all, a new film that we finished. So yeah, that's kind of what's ahead for me.
Yeah, well, definitely looking forward to that. We're really excited to watch it tonight.
Well, thank you all so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
This podcast is brought to you by the DCIFF supporters. We could not be here without all of you to be sharing this amazing outlet with filmmakers from around the world. If you are interested in supporting DCIFF, head on over to our website through the link description in the bio of this episode, or you can go right to the website, which is DCIFF-INDIE.org, to connect with us and learn more about our Future of Film programs, our festival, and also more educational opportunities in what we do with our high school students, community, and beyond. We look forward to your support.